Steelers get in with a win, but they need help. They've been in this spot the last couple of years. They need a Jaguars loss tomorrow, or they need to beat Baltimore. They need Buffalo to lose in the nightcap Sunday against Miami. If the Steelers lose, they could still make it with the Jags loss and a Broncos win tomorrow. So there's still a path, but they need a lot to go right. As for the Ravens, they are the 1 seed in the AFC. Still questions, though, about that rivalry. I'm going to get to Rex and Ryan on that in a minute. Pretty simple tonight. The winner between the Texans and the Colts in, and they could still win the AFC South if the Jags lose in Tennessee. With that, we say hello. It's a busy afternoon and evening for us. A special Monday night countdown for the second consecutive Saturday. Happy to have Rex Ryan with us this week. We've got Robert Griffin III, Marcus Spears, and Ryan Clark. Michelle Beisner-Buck, Adam Schefter standing by as well. And I want to start with a nightcap, Robert, and the win and you're in scenario. You're familiar with this? Yeah. The Texans and the Colts, it's a long wait, I've got to believe. What are they trying to manage as they have to play their most important game of the year?
Yeah, you want to keep it on simmer right now, fellas. This is the beauty of having played the game and coached the game. We get to lean on our experience. And I lived this moment in 2012 with my teammates in Washington when we had to go play against the Dallas Cowboys. And the bottom line is we had an opportunity to have our own destiny in our own hands, right? We were not going to go out there and play scared. And I know you see me there on the screen, but it was our offensive line and Alfred Morris that took over the game. Now, I see that this is really bringing back bad memories of that run right there. But Alfred Morris ran for 200 yards. Our offensive line dominated the line of scrimmage. Our defense picked off Tony Romo 3 times. And at the end of the day, we knew, hey, we win, we're in. We're going to the playoffs. For the Texans, and you look at also the Colts, it's they lose and they booze. They're knocking them back in Cabo. That mindset, you have to go into this thinking, I'm going to dominate. You like that one, RC? I appreciate the laugh, homie. You got to dominate.
We got a lot of hours.
You got to dominate in this one.
You're
losing your booze.
I've never heard
that. Come on now.
Usually I'll be wanting to get with you off camera and be like, don't say that no more. But that was a go. That was a go. What's up, Scott?
It's your turn.
It's your turn, homie. He looked like he was about to say something.
Nah, man, I was just, I'm just going to let you take the ball and run, big fella.
Listen, man, I'm excited for C.J. Stroud and this Houston Texans organization and franchise, especially when it comes to having a first-year coach and a rookie quarterback putting themselves in this position to have a tremendous amount of success. This is a win regardless of if they get in the playoffs or not. This was not the season expected for the Houston Texans. I think they thought it was, and that's the most impressive thing. We've seen C.J. Stroud catapult, and he's been the lightning rod and who we've talked about. But when you look at this team in totality, a lot of people have gotten better. Sheldon Rankins, a veteran up front on the defensive line. Will Anderson, the other rookie that they took, is starting to ascend and play well. Jonathan Grenard. This team is littered with a lot of talent, and they're doing this without Tank Dell, who was their leading receiver. The Houston Texans finally righted the ship by making a right hire at the head coaching position and drafting the right quarterback.
And giving the man some runway to do his
100%,
job. And it helps that you have 2 picks in the top 3
no
in the
doubt.
draft that both look the part. That look the part.
Oh, they hit.
Ryan and Rex, you guys are so well qualified to talk about this game that's coming up. Because Pittsburgh and Baltimore, I've said it for years, it's fitting that the colors are black and gold and purple and black because that's the color of a bruise. I mean, I don't know if that's corny, but it feels like that's what this is, right? I mean, you played in a playoff game with the first play of the game, they're taking a man off the field. Like, that's what this is about. It's been contentious, but there's respect at the bottom of it. But I find it fascinating, Rex, if you're Baltimore and you spent a decade there, like you're looking across the field at Pittsburgh and you're like, we can keep them out of this. They beat us earlier this year. We're not playing our starters, but what is the mentality on the Baltimore side?
Yeah, all week long, John Harbaugh said, Lamar's not going to play, this guy's not going to play or whatever. But we have exactly who we need to win this game. And this thing, it's easy to get motivated when you're playing Pittsburgh, all right? It's about who's the most physical. And the great thing is both teams are the same way. I mean, I assure you, every person in that Raven locker room is talking about, the most physical team wins. And it's going to be the exact same thing in that Pittsburgh locker room. Because at the end of the day, the team that's more physical wins this game.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is this, though. If you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, this is bigger than Baltimore, right? This is a team that has been questioned many times throughout the season about effort, about want to, about will.
Yeah.
Well, that's all this game is about. It's about wanting to. It's about willing your way to a win. It's about saying, I'm going to have more effort on our sideline than on the other sideline. And you're playing a team that's already in. So you get to the point where if you're a Pittsburgh Steelers, Steeler, this could be embarrassing,
Yeah.
right? They cannot have Lamar Jackson, who's going to be the MVP, maybe a Roquan Smith on defense, and still walk people out there and walk away with a win. That's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a problem for that locker room. And so when I think about the Pittsburgh Steelers going into this game, he is right. That's what Coach Tomlin is preaching, but he's also preaching that this used to be the best rivalry in sports.
Yeah.
And they're now sitting their MVP out when they play us.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
They beat them earlier this year in Pittsburgh. I just think there's so many layers to this because in a quiet space in the room, if you're Baltimore, you say, would it be better for us if Pittsburgh makes it than potentially Buffalo? I think the answer to that is yes, but there's just no way in the world you could talk yourself in to not giving every ounce you've got to this game.
Yeah, those Ravens players aren't thinking about that. But what I will say is, RC, to your point, if the Steelers cannot beat the Ravens backups, they do not deserve to be in the playoffs.
Agreed.
All right, we have got you covered with reports from both games. Lisa Salters will join us in a moment from Indy. We start with Laura Rutledge. And Laura, this morning, when we left Maryland, it was snowy. I see it. It's pivoted. Ryan's laughing. I'm not. I know it's cold and rainy. Just how impactful might the weather be in this game?
Yeah, thanks for the laughs, guys. I appreciate that. In fact, offensive coordinator for the Ravens, Todd Monken, just walked past me and he goes, "This blows." I'm like, "I concur, Coach," but here we are, 35 degrees right now. The rain's coming down, could turn into snow. And on the Ravens side, we saw him at practice working on wet football drills with Tyler Huntley. They're doing everything they can to work on the ball security. The Steelers said, Cam Hayward saying, "We're going to be doing everything we can to force turnovers." They know that Huntley's been prone to that, and that's a big focus for this team. You guys talked about Lamar Jackson not playing. He told me he hates not playing. He said as a competitor, you want to be out there, but he understands the reasoning why and wants to really focus on his singular goal, which is getting to the Super Bowl and winning it. They feel like this time off is going to help his body and put him in position to be in a great spot. He said he feels like this team is so special, they can't waste this chance. He finally has the offensive weapons that he's always wanted. And then on the Steelers side of things, they're talking about their quarterback situation, riding the hot hand with Mason Rudolph. Kenny Pickett, Mike Tomlin said, is still the starting quarterback, but Mason Rudolph has given them a better chance to win. He's put up points. He's moved the ball. And Jalen Warren, the running back for the Steelers, told me that they feel like Rudolph's just playing carefree. He's playing with house money. He is a guy that is not second-guessing himself. It's given them a boost, and they're going to continue to ride that. It'll be interesting to see if they make it into the playoffs, what they do. You got to think they stick with Rudolph either way. The mention that you guys made about this rivalry between the Ravens and the Steelers, such a storied rivalry, it's still very real between these two teams, despite the conditions and what's at stake for both in this scenario. Mike Tomlin saying yesterday, they like to be the bully and we like to play the bully. We loved that. Now let's go to Lisa Salters in Indy.
Hey, Laura, thank you. Every single player that I talked to this week about this game said the same thing. Yes, it's winning in. Yes, everything is on the line, but you cannot make it bigger than it is and go out and try to do too much. Texans rookie defensive player of the year candidate Will Anderson Jr. said, while no one outside of their building may have expected much from this Houston team this season, they've been telling each other all year long, we don't need anyone else's approval. We can be good if we stay together, empty the tank, be relentless. Just go out and do your jobs. Now for Indy, leading receiver Michael Pittman Jr. said he's been preaching this week that this game will be about doing what got you here. We need to prepare the way we have been, he said, and know that our preparation is and will be enough. Like the Texans, expectations were not high surrounding this Colts team entering the season. But Pittman Jr. said he knew that they would be much better than the 4-win team that many had predicted. He said, we came in with open expectations to try to see how far we could go. And we're still figuring that out. Scott, a big answer to that comes later today.
Indeed. Don't let anybody else define what you can be. And this team has a chance to play itself in. There are 4 teams who have already clinched a playoff spot in the AFC. The Ravens, Chiefs, and Cleveland Browns locked into their current seeds. Of course, the big game Sunday, South Florida Sunday night, the Bills and the Dolphins to decide the AFC East. The Jaguars, we mentioned, there are 3 teams in the AFC South, currently 9-7. The Jags are in charge of what happens directly as they win the South with a victory over the Titans. We welcome in Adam Schefter now with more on Trevor Lawrence. This is a win and win the South scenario, but we know he's been battling through injuries. How is that trending?
Well, Scott, moments ago, the Jacksonville Jaguars actually activated wide receiver Christian Kirk, but the real focus now is on Trevor Lawrence. And they're saying they're going to take this decision into tomorrow. But the fact that he was limited in practice at all this week offers some encouragement to Jacksonville that Lawrence could potentially be available and they wouldn't have to turn to C.J. Beathard the same way that they did last week. Again, they're hopeful. We'll see if he can go tomorrow. Not as much hope in Miami regarding the injuries surrounding some of their key players. We know that Tyreek Hill was in a walking boot this week. He is expected to be out there. Jalen Waddle, the wide receiver, Raheem Mostert, the running back who missed last week, doesn't sound promising for their availability for Sunday night's game. We'll see if they can go. The Chiefs don't plan to play Patrick Mahomes, who's listed as doubtful for Sunday's game against the Chargers. Again, the plan is for Blaine Gabbert to start in that game, and there are other questions surrounding Travis Kelce, who's just short of 1,000 yards, and Isaiah Pacheco, who I don't know that he will wind up playing. I think actually he probably won't go tomorrow on Sunday. As for the starting quarterbacks, 5 quarterbacks will be making their first start of the season this week, including Tyler Huntley, Blaine Gabbert, Sam Darnold, Carson Wentz, and that means after this weekend that 66 different quarterbacks will have started this year, too short of the record that the NFL set in a non-strike year that was set just last year when 68 quarterbacks started, but 5 first-time starters this season, this weekend.
Yeah, quite a trend. The year